Yes, everybody, what's the West Ham Network? Hope you're safe and well. Hope your day is going swimmingly. Now, we've been talking a lot about transfer rumours. We're going to talk a bit about transfers, but I wanted to get someone else in to talk about West Ham now, but also more importantly, West Ham's history. Because I think even more so, not just at West Ham, but I think in football in general, the historical part of football clubs tends to be lost now for marketing gain and a buck. And actually, we've got a wealth of history, which many of us have some idea, not as much as this gentleman I'm going to be bringing in, but it's really important to sort of keep that tradition going. And we're going to talk about some really interesting projects that Tim's working on. Anyway, I've got Tim Crane. I'm going to just say it. Got Tim Crane on, author many West Ham books. They played with Bobby Moore. They played with Billy Bonds. They played with John Lyle. And he's working on a new one at the moment, which is phenomenal. But how are we, Tim?
Very well, very well. Good morning to you, sir. Yeah, very well, very well. Excited about having a catch up with you. It's been a while.
Has been a while. We sort of cross paths at ex-player nights occasionally, don't we? But it's has been a while. A proper sit down, because you're usually busy getting someone's autograph or someone like that,
Well, when you've interviewed every Hammer from the 50s to the 1990s, it's a busy schedule you have.
It's a very busy schedule. You've interviewed more Hammers than I have. I think I'm on about 100, but you're well on the way. You're well on the way, and I do have an interview coming up very soon, which will be quite unique in that the person doesn't speak English.
Wonderful.
So that's going to be interesting, and the translator will be his wife, which is even more interesting. Tim, obviously, we're in the midst of the transfer window. You're about going off on holiday, which I'm not too jealous about in the slightest. What's your take on everything that's happening at the moment with West Ham?
Well, from a historical perspective, it's a landmark season. And I'd like to raise awareness. I mean, Creswell's gone to Stoke. Antonio will never pull on the shirt again. Free agent. He's gone. And they are the last two links to Upton Park. So that is closing a chapter in the club's history that makes me feel a bit sad, to be honest.
Yeah.
So from here on in, there won't be a single player that will have a memory from the old girl.
In a West Ham shirt, of course. In a West Ham shirt.
In a West Ham shirt, of course. In a West Ham shirt. That's what we're discussing. So, yeah, that was quite. I mean, I was getting a bit of comfort. I mean, we lost Paul Heffer from the coaching staff. He retired a couple of years ago. He was a link to Greenwood. So I was always kind of happy that those old heads were still around the club, and that's not the case. But moving on to lighter, brighter things, we're kind of loading up the left side of the pitch, aren't we?
We have. I mean, the right side was always not really an issue, although we sort of have got cover for Wan-Bissaka when he pisses off to the AFCONs in December. But yeah, that left hand side now, which I think needed a bit of work. It did need a bit of work.
Yeah. I don't get terribly excited until I've given them sort of like a dozen games and I can assess them. The first hurdle is obviously pronouncing their names. I'll just go with Mickey from Alec Juve if you don't mind, and Peter for Kyle. So yeah, Mickey and Peter have joined the club, which is great. Very good luck to them. I'm not sure, Kyle Walker-Peters, are we going to get many goals there? There's not an attacking element to his game. Would you get a goal every 40 games or something like that?
Something like that. Yeah, something like
that. It's not. I like my defenders to give you 5 goals. I mean, we haven't had a great left back since Julian Dix. Most people know that. Free scoring, someone who could give you double figure goals. Obviously, took the penalties. Yep. That's quite a nice asset. Generally speaking, I like my defenders to give me 5 goals or quite a few assists. My midfielders to give me 10 if they can. And we haven't had a 20-goal striker since Tony Cottee in 1987. Let's dwell on that for a moment, Russ. We haven't had a 20-goal striker in the top flight. I think Colton might have done it in the...
John Hartson? What did John Hartson get?
No, not 20.
Not 20?
No. No, not 20. I don't even think it was close to 20. It might have been under 15. But yeah, we haven't had anyone like that. People say Di Canio, but he didn't do it either. It's Cotty in 86, 87. So that's quite galling for a club like West Ham not to be able to produce. If I'm involved in that club, that's a big priority. We're not going to get it from Fulkrug.
No,
I mean he's in the twilight of his days. Was he 32?
something like, yeah.
So I'm not excited about that, but he has been injured. Give him a chance. So our best hope's Jared. Every year it's Jared, and he's one who could get 20, but is he going to get the supply? I don't know, but no, I'm a bit worried about a position we haven't had to be worried about for a very long time, and that's the goalkeeping position.
Yeah,
I mean, we've lost Fabianski. Thank you very much, Fab. Wonderful. And Areola, what's he now? 32.
Yeah, I think he's 32 now. Yeah, so but with goalkeepers, obviously they do tend to go on a little bit longer. But you're right. There's no. That's, for me, is a crucial part. We've got a lot of good youngsters, but it just seems in the Premier League, and particularly, they never seem to put a chance on younger goalkeepers. I can't think of anyone really who's broken in. James Trafford, maybe, in terms of like English goalkeepers, but even he was, of a decentish age and experience. But yeah, that goalkeeper is an issue.
I thought with Potter, I thought we'd have actually grabbed a few more Chelsea players. I thought Chilwell would have been a good addition, and that didn't happen. But I actually thought, because Chelsea supporters were very down on Sanchez, the goalkeeper. He's liable to make a few rickets, and they didn't feel they had an elite goalkeeper there. Now, I thought that was an opportunity to get him in, and a fair price. But now he was voted the best goalkeeper at the Club World Cup.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think they're going to stick with him for at least another season. And they've brought in Delap and a few other really good players. And I think that you'll be looking at Chelsea at the other end of the pitch rather than the goalkeeping end. Whereas I think we could come a cropper. I'm hoping that all these defensive players we've been buying will help. And Sabido, I think, could have a good season this season.
Yeah,
I think he might be a standout player for us now that we've formalised the transfer.
Yeah,
and he's here permanent. His focus should be there, and so I'm mildly optimistic, but I just worry where the goals are coming from. We're very heavily dependent on Jared.
Yeah, we are, and I think I'm the same. I mean, as West Ham fans, I think we're all always, whether we agree or think we are or not, we're all slightly optimistic every season, because until recently we'd won fuck all for 40 odd years, but still we turned up, didn't we? So and I still think, we're going to have a good cup run this year. I've got nothing to really back that up in terms of experience over the last sort of maybe the odd FA Cup final and stuff, but
the DNA of West Ham, okay, West Ham has obviously changed markedly since the move. It's watched, by a new type of West Ham fan. But in the DNA, historically, the emphasis hasn't been on winning trophies. I mean, John Lyle. I mean, I've got that's a brilliant telegram in my collection from John Lyle saying, if he wins a trophy every 5 years, they'll probably stick with me. Do you know what I mean? And he did. I mean, he did the 75 and the 80, and then the best league run in 85, 86. So, he actually did that. But that was a concern that he might not be able to bring some silverware back every 5 years. We were spoiled, weren't we? But no, and I think the part of the West Ham DNA for a certain generation is that we play well, we entertain, we give heart, we give passion, we give 100%. We love a trier. We don't get frustrated. We don't annihilate people in the current way on social media just because they've made a mistake, a poor back pass, or not having an attacking intent or whatever. You read so much vile garbage. It must be quite a strain on a player. But no, very supportive of our players and hoping that, when they pull on the shirt, come on, these lads are trying. Surely they want to win. They're not going out there to do anything else. But West Ham, entertainment, hard work, honesty, industry, and you keep the fans on your side.
Yeah, you're right, and I think, and God loves a try, don't they? I think, you can't. It's like, someone that epitomises that to me is someone like Thomas Souček. There's no denying the man runs for West Ham. He's probably bled a lot more claret than many of us for West Ham as well. And I think you're right. I think social media it's different now. Where if you didn't like a player, you would have a moan up at the bowling with your mates. Back in the day before social media was a thing. Now it's everywhere, and everyone's got an opinion. Just the same as an arsehole, really. We've all got opinions, haven't we? And unfortunately, we've got a platform now to talk, which is good in some ways and bad in other ways.
I think Alec Jules could be good for Souček. Actually,
yeah.
I'm sure that's been discussed, but he's assisted a lot of goals. He scores goals. He makes those foraging runs down the left, so he could be whipping in those crosses. But part of me thinks Senegal beat England, and those guys are all having their big payday. Hopefully, he'll hang around and not just see us as a stepping stone for somewhere else, a la Kudus.
Yeah, he seems like again, you read what and you see what's been interviewed, and you read what's in the press. He does seem to be a very old 20-year-old person, not from a fake passport type. A lot of players change their age, but in terms of I think he left Senegal to go to Norway at the age of 18, and then from Norway to Czech Republic and then to Stratford. He's lived a lot of life for a youngster, so I think he seems quite mature for a 20-year-old. I think more mature than maybe.
You've nailed it. Really, he's 20. He could be anything, couldn't he?
Yeah.
We could have landed a real good one, or we may not see that promise unfold. But let's give him a dozen games before we start thinking about how he's playing.
Exactly. Obviously, you mentioned John Lyle, and we know you from being written a lot of books around sort of West Ham history. Now, as I said, you're currently the current book now, 260-page book, is pretty epic, and it alludes to what you're saying about the Upton Park years and stuff like that as well, doesn't it?
It does, yes. Well, you alluded to the events we attend. I love the nostalgia of those events. I love it that all those Upton Park boys, all those Greenwood and Lisle boys generally turn up and are fawned over by the supporters, and they get so much excited. And it's from those events that people say, when's your next book coming out? Because I have done a few, as you know. And so I started to look at my collection. I realised that I've got quite a weighty collection. I was a little bit embarrassed to see the length and breadth of it, really, Russ, to be honest. And I noticed that I've got pretty much every pre-season team photo from the Upton Park era. So that's 1904 to 2016, as you know. That's 112 years of pre-season team photos. That's quite a special thing. And I thought, there isn't a book like this in the world. You can go from Accrington Stanley to Real Madrid. They haven't got a book like this. West Ham will be the first. No club has ever put over 100 years worth of pre-season team photos in a book. And the reason is they probably haven't got a colossal anorak in their ranks to do it. But you're talking to him now, and I'm all about preserving the history. I think this could become, dare I say it, some kind of major reference book for West Ham fans interested in our, as you say, our enormous history. I mean, don't deny ourselves our weighty, enormous, special history that goes back to 1895, the Thames Ironworks, but that wonderful time in our history that was the Upton Park era. And what part of the attraction of the book, and while I'm putting it out there now, I mean, I am in the latter stages of producing it, and it will be out in October. So I'm going to the printers in September, and they take 5 or 6 weeks. It should be back at the end of October. Plenty of time. But the fans have got the opportunity to put their name in it and put a tribute in it. So for anyone who wants to email me, I can send them the book in email version. They can take a look at what it looks like. It's a rough copy, but there's a hell of a lot of content there for them to look at. And people are putting tributes in, thanks for taking me to Upton Park, Dad. Never forget the memories. Those types of things, Merry Christmas, Granddad. Thanks for taking me to my first game. There's an outpouring of that in the book. I'm allocating more pages than I thought I would have to it. But no, the book, it's a wonderful format, I think. So for each season from 1904 to 2016 when we left, so Billich's team lineup is the final one, and that's a beautiful photo. I might have that somewhere on the cover actually because it looks so good. So the format's really straightforward, Russ. Team photo, every player named. Come on, if I chucked a 1907 West Ham team photo at you, Russ, come on.
No chance. No chance.
Exactly.
No chance.
As I say, colossal anorak. So, and every player named and their position. Come on. So if they were back in the old day, it was inside right, outside left, and all that type of thing. And I've left it true to how they were referred to at the time. So there's no tampering with history. And now it's basically defender, midfield, attacker. So you get that, and then you get the stats for the season. That's just half a page. What they did, top. But then the bit I like, you get 6 photos. The chairman at the time, the manager at the time, the captain at the time. So I've got all the captains from 1904. Think about that, Russ. Think about that. And leading league goal scorer.
Wow.
Most clean sheets. Got to put the keepers in there. I know they can't play football, but we've got to look after them, haven't we? And finally, a little quirky one, which is now, after 1958, has become the Hammer of the Year. So that starts with Andy Malcolm in 58 and goes up to last season. Goes up to 2016, which was Payet. Yeah. So Dimitri Payet is the final Hammer of the Year at the old place, which is quite nice that he's in there. And underneath that, some observations from the season. So Bobby Moore's first season, Bobby Moore's last season, that type of thing. Yeah. The first half of the book is all black and white because it's the black and white era. And then from that pivotal moment, when Bobby Moore becomes captain of West Ham, it's all colour. So it's got that Wizard of Oz moment, where it flips over into all this bright colour. And I'm just hoping that West Ham fans enjoy it. I want them to own it because I think if you're a West Ham fan, you've got to know your onions. Yes. You've got a rich history. You've got to know who our Dickie Walkers, Lenny Gordons are. Let's not just dwell on the current side. Think about over 800 hammers across the white line for the first team at Upton Park. Okay. Wow. And they sweated blood, sweat and tears. Their families turned out to watch them. Later on in life, I visited a lot of them and still visiting a lot of them. They've all got their suitcases and shoe boxes and areas in the attic that they've looked after these treasured items. I mean, John Sissons came into this gallery. I've got a gallery at the top of my house with all this stuff in it. It goes back. But John Sissons has been in here, and had to kind of peel him out of the place because he was just so absorbed by it. So there's a stout history. People that bleed claret and blue. People that played for the club. I'm hoping that this book encapsulates all that and preserves that magic of Upton Park. Magical, the bowling ground. Just such a special period, which I think there's always going to be a nostalgia around. Yep. People miss it with each poor season. I mean, last season. I mean, I can't think of many highs from last season, to be honest. And it's not normally like that. As West Ham fans, we live off moments that 2023 was a standout year, thank God. And we had that wonderful thrill ride that resulted in us sacking the manager for doing that. Modern football, I love it. Anyway, and obviously the woman over at Tottenham, what was her name? Angela. Yeah, Angela Postecoglou. She got the old heat for winning a trophy. So we're in a very strange world. But history is king. I'm telling West Ham fans, know your stuff. Don't get caught out. Let West Ham fans be a step above the rest. I'm giving you the tools. Look, I interviewed everyone who played with Bobby Moore. 89 Hammers in the first team. All interviewed, all their stories encapsulated, okay? Forever. Preserved forever. The stories never change. The 89 that played with him never changed. And look, there are pictures of how they look now. It's a work of art. Someone looked at that cover, Russ, and said, had a little drag on his Tony Hogg, another great West Ham
Tony,
had a little drag on his fan and said, best cover since Sergeant Pepper's.
I remember doing stuff. I can appreciate that the length. It wasn't hardly as much, but I mean, when Noble retired, obviously for me, he was like, obviously I was never around to really see Billy play. I was not really. I saw him obviously manage, but Noble was the one who, for me, was obviously throughout my, always been at West Ham really. And I remember we called it the Noble era, and we did that. We categorized everyone he'd played with, A to Z, and it was hundreds and hundreds of people. It was crazy. There's your next book after a while. There we go. I don't know if it will for you.
Too many, and as you say, I would need too many willing wives to translate.
Yes, you would need one willing wife. Yes.
God bless Noble, lovely Canning Town boy. Claret and blue through and through. One of our own, an absolute wonder kid and wonderful name in the history of West Ham United. But with these books, you've got an FA Cup winner, you've got a cup winner,
totally.
You've got a World Cup winner.
Yeah.
There are some major stories there. Okay, so that sold out, so I had to reprint it and update it with 500 new photos. There are two of them. And then you've got this John Lyall one.
Yeah.
One of the great eras in West Ham's history. He gave us such a thrill ride when you think about it. The joy that this man brought. So 77 Hammers played for John. Okay, all interviewed in a book. And finally, makes me want to cry. Billy. Because Billy's not in the best of health at the moment. And
he isn't. No. Yeah.
And 102 Hammers he played with in the first team, and tracked them all down. All the stories are in there. I mean, these are proper West Ham history books that I'd love everyone. Well, the John Lyall one's running really low, but the others are, still available. But yeah, 102. When I called up Billy, it must have been about, God, it was actually his birthday in about 2017, something like that, a while ago. And I told him what I wanted to do, and he'd seen the Bobby Moore book and the John Lyall book, and he said, "You want to track down everyone I played with and interview them?" He said, "If you're mad enough to do that, I'll give you whatever support you need." And he gave me 6 hours over the phone.
Wow.
Face-to-face interviews. I mean, they are precious interviews that I've recorded. And he was good to his word, and I'm very proud of that book. And his family really like it as well, which gives me a lot of heart. With the latest book, I should give it a title, really, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
So it's a history of West Ham United, the Upton Park years. That's what I'm calling it. Okay. Every team group from 1904 to 2016. I mean, I'm still trying to comprehend that.
Yeah.
But with this book, the Charlie Painter family have come out in force. Great, West Ham's second manager.
Yeah.
1933 to 1950, just a 17-year stint. But he was there from 1900, as a trainer.
Yeah.
I mean, he saw our boys go to war in the First World War. We lost a guy, Arthur Stallard, while he was on the club books in the war. A name that I'm hoping is in the book. We need to dwell a bit more on those brave lads. But they've come out in force. So the Painter family, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, And they've put lots of dedications in. To put a dedication in the book or get your name in the book, there's an Upton Park patron's name. Simply send me your just email me. It's tcrane.
Well, I'll put it in description.
Okay,
So that way.
but it's tcrane183@gmail.com, and that will find its way to me, and I'll gladly put you in the book. I'm looking at a sort of first week in September for a cut-off there.
Perfect. Yeah, and as I said, there's options there if you want to. I said we'll put Tim's email in the description. There's options to have your name or to have a dedication. Obviously, different points, price points as well. And as Tim said, he'll give you an idea of how the book looks. It's I mean, to be honest, and it's A4 as well. It's worth saying it's A4. It's not
A4,
small. It's a
hardback.
It's a hardback.
Because I mean, I don't want to diss the club program, but it's a certain size, and when they've got some fantastic. Rob Pritchard put some fantastic photos in that book. I mean, there's some great historians helping out with the club program. Buy it. We don't want it to be a dying breed. So you've got Steve Marsh and Stuart Allen, great custodians of West Ham history. Okay, but the photos are too small in the program. They're wonderful photos. So I didn't want to get caught out like that. So it's A4 hardback. You know my books. They're high end quality, high design features, and big photos. You can get a nice big photo on an A4. It is portrait, but nevertheless, they are really lovely photos. You can see them very clearly, which was important to me. There's no point scrimping on the size and losing the beauty. And I've captured that beauty. I think these guys, 1904 to 2016, they're all in there. They're all lined up. It's a special time of the season, isn't it, Russ? That pre-season moment back in the day at Chadwell Heath. I'm not sure where they do it now, Rush Green or wherever, but they that special moment where you've lost a few. That first photo when Billy Bonds isn't in it. In the late 80s, 88, 89, I think he's not in that photo. You can feel his absence. It's emotion, but the newcomers, the new arrivals. So when Ted McDougall's in there, for the first season, and everyone's excited, and then the next season he's not there. Cheers, Ted.
That's it. You're right. It is that optimism. It is that optimism as well.
And all the upbeat, all the what might be. It's that time of the season now. 4 games in, it's like, oh my God, we've got another long one.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. It's that
we go through it every single season, but it's a special, magical time. You talk to Pat Holland about what it was like, Jeff Pike, and they've all got stories about how they used to have fun with Steve Bacon, God rest his soul. Who's the snapper at the club. Took many, and the Bacon family have been very helpful with photos, by the way. They used to have the banter, but you can feel that. And one photo that I would like to draw every West Ham fan to when they get the book is the moment. I get quite emotional about it, thinking about it. The moment in 1923 when this little Southern League outfit, this little Thames Ironworks works club, right? It's just like you set up your works team, and then all of a sudden it morphs into something that's got a big following, and then you're at Upton Park and you're building stands, and you're out of the Southern League and you're in the 2nd division, and then you're in the top division, and then you get to the first ever Wembley Cup final, Russ, right? And I've got a photo. It's on my wall here. You can't see it. I've got a photo of the moment when the shirts arrive at the club for the 23 Cup final. And they're all there. All the directors, the chairman, the whole personnel at the club come out with the Bowling Castle in the background before and you can sense the frisson of excitement. The FA Cup final shirts, and the team that are going to play at Wembley are wearing the shirts. And the ones that are not in the team are still in the photo. It sends your head around the world. If you love your history, it sends your head around Mars and back. It's something to behold. And there are plenty of moments like that throughout.
But also, it's like you're right. That's all that there'll be certain seasons that obviously it's not spoilers, but you know what happens at the end of the season, and you can see sort of the optimism. Particularly that golden era in sort of the mid '60s. What's going to come. That team there, what they're going to achieve in 2-3 years' time. The likes of Bobby and that lot, but also people like Brian Deere and people who are still about and feed me every match day. Does God bless Brian? Grandad, I have to call him.
We
It's
love Brian.
nothing kinky, Stag. I know you're watching. Nothing kinky about that.
No, we
but
love
yeah,
Stag. We love
I
Stag.
love him. And all these, promotion seasons, relegation seasons as well.
You've just flagged something there. I mean, he works as in an ambassadorial role for the club, so he is a link. He's a link back to Greenwood. He is probably, but on match day you've got all the ambassadors that do the rooms. So there's a nice clutch of like 20 or 30 ex-Hammers, your Stuart Slaters, Keith Robsons, Alan Taylors, that keep that Upton Park spirit alive, because that's what people want to talk about.
And still with and sort of almost like as a Venn diagram, you've still got people like, obviously, the academy. You've still got Kenny, and you still got Mark, and you still got these guys still intrinsically in the fabric of West Ham, bringing through the next players. And I obviously work a lot with the academy.
The only one that goes back to John Lyle though is Kevin Keane.
Yes, yeah, it would be
Kenny comes just a little bit after.
Yeah, but in terms of that sort of that Upton Park spirit, they're still there. The Pottsies and people like that as well. Mark Robson's and even like the slightly later guys like Zavon and Paul Konchesky, and it's and Freddie Sears as well.
Rufus Bevitt.
Well, big Rufus, big fan of Rufus, and and it's great. And match day, and what's great for me as well is obviously, particularly when we had the European nights, those guys, obviously we go down and have our meal. Brian gives me his ticket, and even at the big games, they're excited as we are as fans, and you can get that. Monks is a Mad Dog, and that's still there, and it's really very personal to me because I can still see it, and it's hard to say, he's still there. It might not seem it at times that West Ham spirit is still, but we know it's there. And things like this book, and the ex-player nights, they sell out every time. And the reason is because there's still that nostalgia, there's still that love. The stories don't change. Frank McAvenny and Julian Dix on the pre-season on the milk cart, that don't change. That story don't change, but we still go every year to watch it, and that's what I still do. That's why I still think there's still that spirit there, and things like this. I really think it's going to go like wildfire, particularly up to Christmas.
There are a couple of nice things in the pipeline as well. There's a big documentary coming out on Clyde Best, which I've been helping out on for about 3 years. It's an American outfit that put it together. They interviewed everyone. I mean, I've interviewed people like Ian Wright, John Barnes, Paul Canaville at Chelsea, charting the history of black players in the game, and Clyde as the trailblazer in the modern TV age. Obviously, we had Charlo before him. Our first black player is a guy called Fred Corbett. Nobody's ever heard of him, but he's recognised as our first black player. But you've got all the Jack Leslies that came before, Albert Johansson that people know, Walter Tull. But in the modern TV age, it's Clyde Best. When Clyde was beamed into everyone's living rooms on Match of the Day, he was the only black guy in the entire top division. Think about that. No other club had a black player. I think, Brendan Batson came in at Arsenal a little bit later. Paul Reaney at Leeds, nobody could really. But yeah, as a trailblazer, this documentary is going to be quite something.
Actually, I remember that when Clyde came to the game at London Stadium, might be last season, if not the season, might be the season before, maybe.
He came Manchester United stands out because we beat Manchester United. He was there for that one.
Yeah, so I think he came through the play, sort of the media lounge, and again, it's a moment which I will treasure. Literally, all the ambassadors stood up and clapped him when he walked in, like all of them, and everyone turned around. All the press turned around and clapped him when he walked in. But it was initiated by the likes of Mad Dog, Rufus, Stuart Slate, all those lot, and it was like it showed the respect of the man that the players had for the man as well, and what he brought to the game, particularly for the likes of Rufus and people like that in terms of black players coming through.
A few weeks ago, the crew came over from the States to interview Ian Wright Okay, now it's hard to get time with Ian Wright.
Yes, very much. Yeah, believe me, I've tried.
Yeah, he's in much demand. But it was Clyde Best, so met up in the West End at this club, and he came in, and I mean, the outpouring of emotion, the big cuddles, and all that was happening. But during the interview, Wrighty said, "Do you know why I wear the number 8? I wear the number 8 at Arsenal. I wanted to wear the number 8, which is unusual. Strikers like 9 and 10. I wanted to wear the number 8 because of Clyde Best."
Wow.
He wore the number 8 for Arsenal, and he became their, Henri's got it now, but he became their all-time leading goal scorer wearing the number 8. And he did that because of Clyde. Wrighty's mum was one of those viewers in the late 60s, early 70s watching Clyde, so that, a huge community of people were willing Clyde on, because they knew that if he could do it, their sons and grandchildren can do it. And look where we are now. It's you don't even think about it nowadays, do you?
No.
Rightly so. It's all based on merit and talent and ability and nothing else. But back in the day, it wasn't like that, and Clyde broke through that barrier. It's going to be. I've seen the outtakes. It's going to be something quite, and it might. I think they're trying to get it on Netflix, Russ. It's going to be
wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, it sounds like the type of thing that you would, particularly with the likes of Ian Wright and stuff. You can just see the trailers for it. You just got to think from a Netflix perspective. They do a lot fucking worse. I've just watched the one about a poop cruise, a cruise where the toilet don't work. So. But not that put anything on there, but if they can put that on there, they should be putting this type of stuff on there because, although it's not the only documentary of West Ham player that's going to be available soon. Thomas Repka's documentary is coming out in October as well.
Really?
Yes,
that'd be interesting. And I watch all that sort of stuff though.
Yeah,
Russ.
me too.
I need to keep on top of all that. So I'll be interested on that. I mean, he had his cult following, didn't he, Repka?
He did.
Wasn't my type of player, but I could understand why people kind of wanted it to work for him.
Yeah, I think it's self-funded, the documentary. I'll be honest, but
yeah, well, if it gets a following and he can put it out on different channels, it could work for him.
Yeah, I think it's all in check as well. Apart from that, but apart from that, But yes,
and the other monumental thing for West Ham fans, especially all you guys and girls out there who love to collect autographs, there is a guy coming over. He very rarely comes over. Last time he came over was 10 years when I interviewed him for the Bobby Moore book. Up in Wolves, that might give you up in Wolverhampton, where his son lives. You have to go to him. I might try and get him along to an event. Bertie Lutton. Who the hell is Bertie Lutton? Bertie Lutton played for the Hammers in the sort of like 73, 74 seasons. Loves West Ham. Absolutely loves them. Wasn't here for long. And then sort of very quick, but didn't make an impact. But I bet a lot of people's collections go back to Bertie Lutton
and haven't got
waiting to fill that little page with your.
I'm looking at you, Terry Connolly.
Oh, Terry's been all over it. I mean, I always get a couple of pages for Terry, and he's good at sending stuff out to people. I remember he sent his son out to get Tony Scott's in Australia. His son he had to take something like a 9,000-mile detour to get Tony Scott, God bless his soul, to get Tony Scott's signature, because that's a tricky one. But heavyweight collectors of autographs, of which there are many, as you know, at these events, will have a big gap where Bertie Lutton's face is smiling at them. But he's coming over. Oh,
it'd be brilliant. But I know you. I mean, obviously, you've interviewed hundreds more ex-players than me, but obviously the 100 or so we've had on the channel, everyone you talk to speak about playing for West Ham in such high esteem, high regard, even if they were, I don't know, played a couple of games. I remember having, and those are the guys I love interviewing, the guys who have only played, a handful of games for the club, because we would change probably our lives to do what they did once, and they've and well, it all comes out in so clearly how much they love playing for West Ham.
When the reason I wrote the Bobby Moore book, I used to work for the Ex-Hammers magazine with Tony McDonald. Great facilitator of my sort of West Ham writing life. Thank you, Tony. I interviewed Joe Durrell, and he's exactly the type of person you're talking about. He played 6 matches for West Ham, and talks about it. He's not in the best of health, but absolutely made up that he crossed the white line for the Hammers. Okay, he wouldn't get in today's game because he was diminutive and would have been overlooked. But I interviewed him in the Grapes in Narrow Street in the East End, and I was trying to look for the angle. I said, and I worked it out, and I said, you're one of only 89 who played with Bobby Moore in the first team. And he started crying.
Wow.
And I thought, oh, there's something here. Then I set out on the journey to track down those 89, and the families are the ones that are no longer with us, and interview them all. And I'm very pleased I did, because the stories don't change. The 89 won't change. That book will always be current. If anyone loves Bobby Moore, or anyone wants to find out about the man, then I urge you to pick up a copy of the Bobby Moore book.
Definitely. And as I said, Tim, we did have Tim's email on there. So again, if you want to look at purchasing any of those other books, let Tim know, because as I said, it's part of our history. And I hate saying the word Christmas, but Christmas is coming up around the corner, just 5 months today. So for the West Ham, not even an anorak, for the West Ham fan, it's part of our history. There's those books, and obviously the new book as well. Be brilliant. Tim, man, it's been a pleasure. We shouldn't leave it so long next time.
Well, anything to do with West Ham's history, I'm always available. If I can preserve, keep alive, just resurrect, throw light on something from West Ham's history, I'm your man.
Brilliant. Okay, man. Thank you very much, everybody. As I said, we'll have a link of Tim's email address in the description. So if you want to purchase the book or get the dedications and stuff, let him know. So we'll probably, as I said, early September will be the cutoff point for that, and obviously all the other books as well. We'll bring probably some lovely transfer news, maybe. Who knows, in the next few days.
Have we signed Isak yet?
Yeah, we're signing Isak. Callum Wilson was just all smokescreen for Isak. And obviously,
well, I don't mind. I don't mind buying Wilson. At least it'll stop him scoring against us, eh?
Exactly. I looked at the stats when he was playing against West Ham. It's incredible, isn't it? Just how far away we are from all the other clubs in terms of regularity.
I'd like to work that out, actually. Like which striker, Lukaku, Drogba, they used to score quite freely against us.
Glenn Murray.
I wonder who it is in the history of West Ham who scored the most goals against us. Now there's a task, and I'll be sitting on a beach or by a lake in France. Maybe I'll ponder that a little more.
That's an article, yeah. I wonder how, we're always like a mini series, the players. Mini YouTube series, the players that
Can we start a clamour for a 20 goal a season guy, please? Because it's killing me. I can't. We're West Ham United. We've got a great tradition of strikers. Victor Watson, 326 goals, by the way. Where's his statue? 249 from Sir Geoffrey. We've got Johnny Dick, Vic Keeble, some fantastic Cotty and McAvenny, of course. We've had some fantastic goal scorers that have notched 20 in a season, no trouble. Victor Watson, he did it multiple times. Jeff did it multiple times. Jeff knocked to 6. I've got that Sunderland game here signed by Jeff just on my wall there. That programme. Just a little cheeky 8-0 against Sunderland with him scoring 6. Victor Watson scored 6 against Leeds. 29 or something like that. Where is our 20 goal a season striker?
Mm.
I love it that Cotty is the last to do it, and he loves it as well.
He
But
does.
please, come on. Can we have another member of that club? It's killing me. Can we just? I don't know who it's going to be. I know who it's not going to be. It's not going to be Carl Walker-Peters, that's for sure.
No,
Please sign a 20 goal a season striker. I don't know. Look in the academy. Just, Kenny. Just look in the locker. Just look under the benches. He's there somewhere.
We've got some there. Obviously we've got the young boy Cummings, Daniel Cummings. There's a lot of. He scored loads playing for Celtic reserves last year. He's obviously signed now. Josh
I don't know. I mean, Cummings, he could be anything. I mean, people got excited about Ferguson. It's just, you never know, do you?
Yeah.
I don't pass judgment until they've played a dozen games. I really don't.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll wait and see. Tim, as always. As I said, it's only been what's that? 86,
87.
So it's almost 40 years.
Coming up to 40 years without a 20 goal striker in the top division.
Oh, it's mental. Yeah, because I checked. Hartson scored. Yeah, he scored 15 in the Premier League, didn't he? He scored.
There you go.
There we go. But yeah, mental. Yeah. Anyway, on that somber note, well, it was only 40 years ago. We hadn't won anything, and then we won the cup. So maybe Falkirk's year this year. Anyway, take care, everyone. Stay safe, and we'll see you soon. Much love. Bye bye.
Russ, thanks for your time.